Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to show you my beginner stamina Templar, also known as Stamplar, build for the Ascending Tides DLC patch. This build is capable of pulling over 76k on the parts dummy with a very easy beginner friendly rotation. As a part of the beginner setup series, I'll be focusing on a starting rotation and gear that are all easily accessible. For the sake of this theme and to be as new player friendly as possible, I'll be avoiding mythics, arena weapons trial, or dungeon gear. Furthermore, the rotation for many classes will be simplified. The build specializes in normal group content such as trials, vet dungeons, and group arenas. This build can work in overland but is not specifically designed for it. Furthermore, I'll be going over some ideas and tips to further progress yourself into mid and end game. Just a quick note, although hybrid builds are some of the strongest builds right now, I'll be focusing on a more traditional setup that either focuses on magical or stamina. So with that being said, here we go. So starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in a stamina and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, we are a Dark Elf. I believe Dark Elves have some of the best passives for stamina DPS. Other alternatives include Khajiit, Orc, Red Guard, Wood Elf, and High Elf. So moving on to consumables, for food we have a couple different options. The best choice for content would probably be RTM takeaway broth. Keep in mind they are kind of expensive. A cheaper and almost just as good alternative would be Dubious Cameron Throne. And if you're parsing or just need more sustain in general, then Lava Food Soup and Salt Rice is always the go-to. Moving on to potions, we're just going to be running standard Essence of Weapon Power. The reason why these potions are so good is because it comes with 3 buffs that are really important for stamina DPS. These include Major Endurance, Major Brutality, and Major Savagery. Keep in mind these potions do cost a little bit to make or buy, so make sure you have 3 points in medicinal use from the alchemy skill line to ensure that the potions last their full duration. So for CP, we're going to be running Backstabber, Biting Aura, Deadly Aim, and Master at Arms. For the red tree, Bloody Renewal, Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Balanced Vitality. So for gear, we're going to be running Julianos paired with Huntings and 2-piece Night Mother. Breaking it down, in the main hand we have a Nirnhone Dagger with poison damage enchant. On the offhand, we're running a Charged with a flame damage enchant. If you don't have access to Nirnhone, you can always run Precise or Charged. It doesn't matter too much. On the back bar, we're running a Greatsword of Julianos infused with a weapon damage enchant. For the head and shoulders, we have 2 pieces of Night Mother, both crafted in light, with max stam enchants traded in divines. And for the body, we have 5 pieces of Hunting's Rage, all with max stam enchants traded in divines, medium armor as well. For the jewelry, we have 3 pieces of Julianos jewelry, all with weapon damage enchants traded in Bloodthirsty. So for skills, we're going to be running Power of the Light, Biting Jabs, Barb Trap, 2 Fighter's Guild skills, Dawnbreaker, Stampede, Carve, Ritual Retribution, and 2 more Fighter's Guild skills, and Dawnbreaker again. So for the rotation, we're going to be going Stampede, into Carve, into Ritual Retribution, into Barb Trap, Power of the Light, and 7 jabs. Whenever your Dawnbreaker is ready, just swap one of your jabs for Dawnbreaker and you should be good to go. So in terms of progression, I'd work on replacing Julianos for Briarheart as my first step. Briarheart is a really good set and is reasonably easy to farm considering it is an overland set from Hrothgar. So for a good basic beginner build, it would consist of Briarheart and Hunting's Rage paired with a monster set. For this particular setup, I'd recommend either Stormfist or Maul the Inferno as the monster helm. This is because Tempest Island and Banished Cells 2 on Vet isn't too difficult and the sets hit like a truck. Next, you have the choice of replacing your Huntings and Briarheart combo. From here is moving towards mid to end game. Arms of Reliquin is a really strong set but does require running Cloud Rest, which is a trial. Running it on normal is easy and you should work on getting it if possible. As a general rule, Reliquin is considered the best stam set and must be bodied, meaning 5 pieces active at all times. The most popular way to achieve this is just by wearing 5 pieces on the body. Once you get your Reliquin, you need to pair it with what I call a front bar set. These can be just sets that you either pair with Reliquin or run separately. The list includes Kinra, Pillar of Nirn, Zogvin, or Advancing Yokeda. From this list, I think Kinra is the best option. Granted, you're able to keep the stacks. Kinra comes from the dungeon Black Drake Villa. Pillar of Nirn comes from Valkyrie Hold, Advancing Yokeda comes from Hellraw Citadel, which is a trial, and Zovgan comes from Frostvault. Advancing Yokeda is really strong, but keep in mind you need to run jewelry and weapons because it is a heavy set. I'd also like to take this time to mention that Zovgan is unique and that it allows us to run a different skill instead of trap, freeing up a bar slot. Next is the Mythic and Maelstrom weapon route. Mythics is kind of a pain to get, but they are some of the strongest items in the game. If you want to run a Mythic, I'd go for One Piece Slime Crawl Monster Helm paired with Harpooners. Harpooners is viable for most content and is considered best in slot. If you don't like Harpooners or you can't run Harpooners, a good alternative will be Death Dealer's Fate. Moving on to arena weapons. For the Maelstrom weapons, it seems like the Greatsword is performing the best right now, with Bow being a decent alternative as well. If you don't want to run a Mythic, you can always opt for Monster Helms, and luckily we have a few options. Stormfist, Kjarnar, and Mauled Inferno are my personal picks, and I think that wraps it up. So closing thoughts. First off, if you want to follow the basic rotation that I listed earlier, just make sure you get carve stacks in the beginning so that you don't have to worry about it expiring, because in the beginning it does have a shorter duration. Next, if you don't want to run two-hander on the back bar, you can run like bow or dual wield, although it's not going to perform as good as two-hander. So the good part about this build is there's a lot of flex skills. Two of the circle of protections, you can run whatever you need depending on the set content or whatever situation you find yourself in. And one last thing, the reason why we're not using Power of the Light more than once is because I tried it, but it was really hard to time both of the procs of Power of the Light, like the final initial hit on the front bar, so I just decided to scrap it, and it turns out that it does like the same DPS. And I think that wraps it up. As always, thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, or better yet, come join our Discord and ask your questions there. Please consider subscribing if you haven't, and if you like the piggies, hit that like button. As per usual, a parse and outfit section will be included in the end, and once again, thank you and have a